sit through more lecture, right? Plus, it's getting close to lunchtime, and I'm sure we're all getting hungry. I'm going to try to keep this brief and practical, focusing on practical and main points, and then hopefully have a little bit of time for question and answer. Okay, so it's on. Okay, well, Angela sent me an email this year, and she said, could you be a judge again this year at the BA paper competition? I guess Angela is the representative from Baptist U, and I said, sure, why not? Because I enjoyed it, you know, it helps keep people fresh. And then just not too long ago, she wrote back and said, well, could you do a 20-minute presentation on writing a good executive summary? And my first impression was to say, well, I don't know how to do that, right? Because I've never thought about an executive summary before. But then I started thinking about, okay, yeah, I could do that. So these are just ideas that sort of came up the top of my head. In fact, on Chungyung holiday, I went to my office for about 2 hours, and where did I start? The same place that anybody starts, Wikipedia, right? So I said, what's an executive summary? So I went to Wikipedia and I read their definition. And I did a search on Google and I found a few other things about executive summaries. I'm thinking about the executive summaries. I mean, I've written them before and I've judged them before, but I've never told anyone how to write a good one before. So I had to think about it along those terms. So I go to Wikipedia. Executive summary, sometimes known as a management summary, is a short document or section of a document produced for business purposes that summarizes longer report or proposal or a group of related reports in such a way that readers can rapidly become acquainted with a large body of material without having to read it all. So it's kind of like, okay, is this interesting or not? Let's look at the executive summary first. It will usually contain a brief statement of the problem or proposal covered in the major documents, background information, concise analysis, and the main conclusions. It's intended as an aid to decision-making by managers. It has been described as possibly the most important part of the business plan. And that last part sort of jumped out at me, because I would agree with that. I sort of had that in my mind before I read this definition. I think it's probably the most important part of the business plan. Because unless you get their attention in the executive summary, you know, people are going to be making a judgment quick. We're busy, we're looking at lots of these things. You look at the executive summary, does this look interesting? Oh, wow, it looks good. So then, okay, let's get into the details. If you look at it and say, oh, I've seen this before, flip through it, oh, where's the next one? You know, pass that over here. So it's important. And not only that, but if you go on, and hopefully you will go on, right? You're hoping to go on to the next stage, to the next stage, to the next stage. This won't be the end of it. This will be the basis from which you build off. So you'll have something, a framework, and an introduction that you'll use in your later document. Clear up to when you're down at the convention center, right? In January. So, I thought about it again. I wanted to break it up. So my talk today is going to be on these 6 parts. First, choosing the idea. I don't know how far along you are. Maybe you think you have an idea, maybe not. Maybe you're just in the brainstorming stage. Then allocating the tasks. I think this is important. This is a team effort. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. So it's important that you have some way of allocating the tasks that's effective for your group, so that you get positive synergy and not negative synergy. I'm sure you've been involved in group projects in your classes, in your universities, and you've been in some groups where you have positive synergy, that's where everybody comes together and they come up with something better, and then there's such a thing as negative synergy, right? Where people sort of like suck each other down and you kind of get into a spiral and you end up with something less than if you added up all the sums of the part. Actually writing the document, I'll give you some ideas about that. The structure of the document, additional resources, and a timely question and answer session. And again, this is not an official document. These are just some ideas that I came up with in about a 2-hour period on Wednesday during the Chungyung Festival. This is not the official guidelines. And if you spoke to another judge or someone else, they might tell you something different. So this is just one judge's, one person's perspective on how you would go about, or how I would go about writing an effective executive summary. First off, choosing the idea. I know you're very eager to get started. I like to walk around, but you're eager to get started, but don't jump in too quickly. Now, you know, I've coached groups before too, or assisted them in these competitions, and I've judged several of them, and I know what happens. It's nice. Is it on? Okay. What happens often is that somebody has an idea, and you get the idea, and after you spend an hour or two thinking about this idea and doing research, you feel like, well, I put that time into it. And so you don't want to give it up. And so, you know, you got to think of that time, before you put too much time into one, give yourself a day or two, or your group a day or two, to brainstorm, to come up with different ideas. Because as soon as you spend a little bit of time on one idea, you kind of feel committed to it. You know, if you put in an hour, or 2 hours, or 3 hours, or if you go to the library and spend 4 or 5 hours researching an idea, you become committed to it because you put that work into it. So before you do that, before you commit, before you're married to an idea, date a few ideas, right? Go out on a few dates with other ideas, toss a few things around. Don't get too deep into a particular idea, so play around with these ideas. Give yourself some time. When you're coming up with a good idea, I tell my students when they're doing their projects, which I'm going to talk about a couple down, is you're kind of balancing uniqueness with doability. I mean, you want something that's unique, but not something that's too unique. I'll talk about that just a bit more later. I think, too, success often comes from something that somebody in the group has access to some special information. If your parents or your uncle or a relative or a friend or somebody is working in a particular industry, they can give you some inside information. That's very helpful. Especially, we're assuming or hoping that you get on all the way to the finals, right, in January. By the time you get down to that point, there's going to be a question and answer session, and you're really going to have to know your stuff. So if you have someone in your group that's worked in a particular industry or done something, it's very helpful. Interesting. Tell us something we don't already know. There's a famous article written in sociology called "That's Interesting." And they say, what makes something interesting is something that we haven't thought of. Don't tell us something that we already know, or you're refining something that's already been done. Sure, that might work, but it's not really going to have the hook that I'm going to talk about in just a moment. You could somehow do something that's something that we haven't thought of, or is counterintuitive. You know, your intuition tells you it should be like this, but you guys are saying, hey, wait a minute, if we do it like this, well, that's something very interesting. That's something that's hard to do. Yeah, this is related to the first one, balancing uniqueness with doability. There's a fine line between being fantastic and being crazy. Okay? Do you understand what that means? Okay, I've had students come up and they're doing their presentation before, and they've got this great idea. And they push it a little bit further, and they've got everybody's attention. And it's a fantastic idea, and somehow they go a little bit too far. It's crazy, right? There's a fine line between coming up with an idea that's, you know, on the borderline, avant-garde, if we could use the term avant-garde of the term of this year's competition. There's a fine line between being avant-garde and being stupid. Something that won't work, right? So you want to push out to where it's a fantastic idea, but if you go too far and it's pie in the sky, then you start losing people. You got to find that boundary and walk on that. The next one is what I call the hook. What's the intriguing part here? You're looking for something special. You want to hook the audience in, especially in the executive summary. Why should I continue reading this? I'm busy. We're all busy. again, these are all under the choosing the idea. Is it something that can be protected? In strategic management, we talk about barriers to entry. Is it something that is patentable? That's a hard word for me to say, patent. Can you get a patent on it? I'm from the U.S., we say patent, we don't say patent. Can you get a patent on it? And do you have some unique resources? Is there something that keeps other people from doing it? If it's easy to do, then it's not going to be such a good idea. It has to be something, or preferably something that, is protected, something that keeps others out. Second one, allocating the tasks. This is a student project. You guys are still in classes. Classes come first. You have to make it. It's not going to do any good if you win this competition and you flunk out, right? So you want to make sure that you do well and you allocate the tasks in such a way that you have positive group synergy and not negative group synergy. So under here, I've got, it's okay to seek advice from outside parties. It's okay to go talk to one of your professors and get their ideas. Ask them to comment on it. Related to the first one, bringing it up again, does someone have a friend or relative that knows something about this industry? Well, then that person should contact. Give different team members different responsibilities, but have someone in charge of the overall document. It's good to allocate tasks, but what often happens is I'll see a document and I can say, okay, I can see somebody did this part, and then somebody else did this part, and somebody else did this, and they paste it all together, but you can see that nobody was in charge of the whole thing, so it looks like a cut and paste job. You need somebody that's kind of can see the big picture. Allocate the task, but make sure somebody has the pieces fit together seamlessly. No free riding, and this is hard. And don't let your team members down. This is what I mean by that negative synergy. Try to stay positive when you're meeting with your group members. I've seen very talented groups of students come together. I've coached them, taken them on case competitions or whatnot. But there's a negative synergy. Try to avoid that. Try to stay positive. Try to give the other person the benefit of the doubt. And this goes all the way to the presentation. The judges, we will be looking for team effort. I've been backstage before, and they'll say, well, you have the one young lady, I'll say girl, okay? The one young lady who seemed like she dominated the whole thing, the question and answer session. I don't think it's a group effort. I think she did the whole thing, and everybody else is kind of sitting there. We're looking for that. We're looking for a team effort. And again, the way that your group works together, it can either be a positive or it can be a negative. And I think you all know what I'm talking about. Classwork comes first. It might be a good idea before you start this, because it's a big undertaking. You should congratulate yourself for being here and taking on this extra work in addition to your classwork. But say, hey, let's sit down. We're going to spend this much time on it, and that's all. You don't want to get out of hand. Tell your other teammates up front, say, I can do it here, here, and here, but I have an exam here, I have something I have to do here, I have something I have to do here. Get this out of the way up front. Get the negotiating out of the way up front so that whenever it comes later into the project, you don't just disappear. Well, where is she? She was supposed to have something. You come back and say, oh, I'm sorry, I had an exam I had to study for. Well, why didn't you tell us that earlier? That's kind of letting people down. So it might be worth your while to sit down in the beginning and lay some ground rules for how your group's going to function. Next is writing the document. Again, it has to get the attention of the judges. We're all busy. I read lots of business plans. I'm sure that our other judges do too, and I have to read essays and exams. And to be honest, probably 75% of them, I read them, and if you ask me an hour, I can't tell you what they're about. Because they're just not interesting. They don't get my attention. Unless they get my attention, I won't even remember them. So you have to get the judge's attention. So after we've read through the stack of those, we're thinking, oh yeah, I remember this one, and this one. So get their attention early. use graphs to make it appealing, but don't rely on techniques. The idea is what's important. The content is more important than delivery. Don't put a lot of fancy stuff. Even on your PowerPoints, keep them simple. I can quote Steve Jobs again. You know, his big thing was keeping things simple. It's much more difficult to do a simple job of explaining a complex idea than to do an elaborate job. And students, undergraduate students, tend to want to impress people with their command of PowerPoint or trying to make things more complicated. No. Simple. Simple. Make it as simple as possible where you get your point across. And you'll find that it's much more difficult to write a short document than it is to write a long document. Right? The structure. Okay, I was thinking about what's in the executive summary. And again, some of this stuff I got off the internet because I had to think about it myself. Well, you want the basic facts there. Who, what, where, when. What's this about? Who's going to do it? How's it going to work? And then I would suggest going straight into the hook. Hook them with your second point. And then some background. If it's in the past, there have been a lot of projects that deal with the environment. Okay, you can talk about global warming a little bit and the trend for these types of things, but not too much in the executive summary. Not too much on the background. Just enough. Just enough. If you make it through this first round, and you're writing the full BA paper later, then you'll be able to expand on those things. Keep all of these notes. You might write a lot more. But think positive, think optimistic. Plan on going to the next round. All this stuff that you've written, you keep this as background. After we get to the executive summary stage, then we go on the next stage, we'll pull this and import it into the full document. Right? So you can write a lot of background stuff and do your research on the background, but then you condense that down to just the important part, what you want to hook the judges with. Then you'll go into the how in more detail. Sometimes you have to get complex. I mean, you want to keep it simple, but you have to make it doable. You have to show that the idea will work. So how will it work? Is it actually possible? Is it just pie in the sky? Well, there's line here. Talk a little bit about the implementation, about how it would work. And then, finally, come back around to your hook and your final sales point. So that, again, as I move on to the next one, I'm thinking, okay, this is good. All right? So the structure. Finally, some possible additional resources. Well, hey, this is the internet age. I had to go to Google when I started writing this because I never really thought about how to write an executive summary before. And then, within a few minutes, I saw lots of examples of executive summaries, some stuff on there about how to write an executive summary. You might look at past winners of BA papers. Each of your universities probably has past winners, or you look back and see what the past teams have done. That's a good place to start as well. And if that wasn't too long, try to keep it crisp, clear, and practical. I see some people are already starting to go to sleep or getting hungry. But maybe we can answer a few questions, or I can answer a few questions. Yes?
Is there a word limit on the executive summary?
That's a technical question. One of the BA paper people help me out here. It's 5 pages. spacing, 1-inch margins, or is there margin requirements?
Yes, you can find it in our website.
Keep the margins reasonable. We want to go a little bit, we'll make it raise it in. It's reasonable margins, 12-point font, double spaces, many words you can fit in there. Another question?
Normally a report is about 20 pages, and it's easy to convey your idea and also seem concise by putting in examples and research. But an executive summary is supposed to be short, concise, and precise. So how do I convey my idea in that way while also sounding concrete?
That's a very good question. What can I say? It's hard, right? It's difficult. I would say write it.